Emily Carter stood behind the counter at Cluck's Chicken, tapping her fingers on the greasy surface. At 28, she felt far from her dreams of becoming a social worker. After her mother fell ill, Emily had to care for her and work multiple jobs to pay the bills. Now, she was stuck in a fast food job that barely paid enough. Her curly brown hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her once bright green eyes now looked tired. The oversized uniform reminded her of the struggle she faced daily. Still, Emily held on to the lesson her mother taught her. Kindness can change the world. As the lunch rush slowed, Emily's mind drifted. Just then, the door chimed, pulling her back to reality. A small boy, no older than 6, walked in. His clothes were messy, and his tear-stained face tugged at her heart. He looked around, lost and scared. Without thinking, Emily stepped out from behind the counter. "Hey there, sweetie," she said gently, kneeling to meet his gaze. "Are you okay? Where are your parents?" The boy trembled. "I don't know. I saw a puppy at the park and followed it. Now I can't find Mommy." Emily's heart ached. She knew she should call the police, but the boy's fear made her hesitate. "How about we get you something to eat while we figure this out?" she suggested. The boy nodded, his eyes wide with hope. Emily led him to a booth, her manager, Mr. Davis, watching with an angry look. But helping this child mattered more than her job. "What would you like?" she asked, grabbing a menu. His eyes sparkled at the pictures. "Can I have the kitty combo?" he asked shyly. "Of course. I'll be right back." As she placed the order, Mr. Davis appeared. His lips were pressed together, and his glasses reflected his anger. "Johnson, what do you think you're doing?" he barked. Emily straightened, meeting his gaze. "There's a lost child here. I'm getting him something to eat while we contact the police." Mr. Davis turned red. "And who is paying for this meal?" "I will, sir. I'll cover it myself," she replied. Mr. Davis sneered. "See that you do, and make it quick. I won't have you wasting company time on charity cases." She bit her tongue and nodded, then hurried to get the boy's food. When Emily returned, Ethan was calmer, looking excited at the sight of his food. "Thank you, Miss Emily," he said, smiling shyly. "You're welcome. Now eat up while I make a quick phone call, okay?" As he started eating, Emily stepped away to call the police, reporting the lost child and providing his description. Just then, the door chimed again. A worried woman rushed in, her eyes wide with panic. "Ethan!" she cried, spotting her son in the booth. Ethan jumped up, running to his mother, who hugged him tightly. Emily watched, her heart swelling with happiness for the reunion. But Mr. Davis was beside her, looking furious. "In my office now," he growled. Dreading what was to come, Emily followed him to the small, messy office. "Johnson," he said coldly, "I've had enough of your bleeding heart nonsense. This isn't a charity, it's a business, and you've been a problem since you started." "But I was just trying to help a lost child," Emily protested. "What I understand," he interrupted, "is that you've been giving away food and wasting company time. You're fired. Clean out your locker and get out." His words felt like a punch in the stomach. Emily stood there, shocked, as he shoved her last paycheck into her hands. As she gathered her things from her locker, she saw Ethan and his mother getting ready to leave. The woman walked over, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you so much for looking after my son," she said warmly. "You have no idea what it means to me." Emily managed a weak smile. "I'm just glad he's safe," she replied, her voice thick with tears. After they left, Emily stepped outside into the sun, feeling heavy in her heart. How would she tell her mother that she lost her job? They needed her income for medicine and rent. As Emily walked home, she felt like her kind act had cost her everything. When she reached the small apartment she shared with her mom, she forced herself to sound cheerful. "Mom, I'm home." Margaret looked up from her crossword puzzle, noticing Emily's sad face. "What's wrong, sweetie?" she asked. Emily sank onto the couch next to her mom, recounting everything that happened. Margaret listened closely, wrapping her arm around Emily. "Oh, Emily," she sighed when Emily finished. "I'm so proud of you for helping that little boy. Your kindness is your greatest strength. Never forget that." Emily managed a small smile. "Thanks, Mom, but kindness doesn't pay the bills." Just then, a knock at the door startled them. Emily opened it to find a tall man in a nice suit, with salt and pepper hair and glasses. "Emily Carter?" he asked in a deep, warm voice. Emily nodded, confused. "Yes, that's me. Can I help you?" "I'm here to help you. My name is Robert Hastings. May I come in? I have something important to discuss." Confused but curious, Emily stepped aside. Mr. Hastings settled into an armchair, while Emily and Margaret looked at each other, puzzled. "Miss Johnson," Mr. Hastings began, "we learned about what happened today at one of our restaurants. Your quick thinking saved my grandson, Ethan." Emily's jaw dropped. "Your grandson?" she asked in shock. "Yes," Mr. Hastings nodded, his eyes shining. "When Rachel called me, thanking you for your kindness, I had to come personally. Your actions today were commendable. I want to offer you a job at our corporate office to help oversee a new community outreach program." "A job at corporate?" Emily stammered. "I don't have any experience in that." "What you have is more valuable than experience. You have heart. The rest we can teach you." Emily nodded, feeling hope bloom inside her. "And my mother?" she asked, glancing at Margaret. "I need to take care of her. Our company offers great health benefits for employees and their families, and we have flexible hours for caregiving," he replied. Margaret squeezed Emily's hand. "Sweetie, this sounds like an amazing chance. Don't let your worries hold you back." Taking a deep breath, Emily felt the weight of the choice in front of her. It was more than just a job. It was a chance for a brighter future. "Okay," she said finally, her voice stronger now. "I accept. Thank you, Mr. Hastings. I promise I won't let you down." After Mr. Hastings left, Emily felt a wave of emotions. Excitement, nervousness, and relief washed over her. She turned to her mother, who was beaming with pride. The next few weeks were busy as Emily worked hard at her new job, showing everyone that Mr. Hastings made the right choice. Her experiences helped her understand how to make a real difference in people's lives. Emily worked at a company called Clucky. She helped start new programs to help the community. She partnered with local shelters to give meals to homeless people and created a mentorship program for kids who needed help. She even got her company to donate leftover food instead of throwing it away. Her coworkers loved her ideas, and Emily felt happy and proud because she was making a difference. But it wasn't easy. She had to work long hours, which meant she had less time with her mother, who needed care. Even though her mom was getting better health care, Emily often felt tired. Sometimes, she wondered if she had taken on too much too soon. One night, after a hard day, she came home to find her mom in a scary situation. While they waited in the emergency room, Emily felt stressed and thought about quitting her job to be with her mom more. But her mom took her hand and said, "Look at what you're doing, Emily. You're helping so many people, including me. Don't give up on your dreams just because it's hard." Just then, Emily's phone buzzed. It was a message from Rachel, a friend. The message had a photo of Ethan, a boy Emily helped, smiling while serving meals at the shelter. He wanted to help others like Emily helped him. Tears filled Emily's eyes, and she realized her work mattered. When the doctor came in with good news about her mom, Emily felt strong again. She knew her job was tough, but it was also very rewarding. She squeezed her mom's hand and prayed silently, ready to keep going because she believed that even one small act of kindness could change the world. Meanwhile, back at the Clucky restaurant where Emily used to work, Mr. Davis, the manager who fired her, was facing problems. People heard about how Emily was doing well in her job and how he treated her badly. Customers who liked Emily began to complain, and fewer people came to the restaurant. One day, Ethan and his mom went to see Mr. Davis. "Is Emily working today?" they asked. Mr. Davis had to tell them no, which made Ethan sad. Just then, Mr. Hastings, a big boss, showed up. He was there to check on the restaurant because it wasn't doing well. Mr. Davis realized his strict ways had made the restaurant a bad place to work. By the end of the day, he was fired, just like he fired Emily. But unlike Emily, he hadn't treated people with kindness. While Emily was busy with her new ideas at Clucky, Mr. Davis thought about how he could have been better. He had treated Emily badly, but now he saw that her kindness helped the company more than his harsh rules ever did. As Emily's work grew, so did her friendships. She became closer to Mr. Hastings, who helped guide her in her job. Ethan visited her often and looked up to her. Their bond grew stronger. Emily's mom also got healthier and became her biggest supporter. One night, during dinner, Emily's mom suggested moving into a nearby assisted living place. Emily was shocked. "Mom, we can manage," she replied. But her mom said, "It's not just about managing, it's about living. You've done so much for me. Now it's time for both of us to have a little freedom." Emily thought about this. Moving her mom would help both of them grow. When the day came for her mom to move, Emily felt sad but relieved. As they unpacked, her mom told her, "I'm proud of you for who you've become." Emily hugged her mom tightly and cried happy tears. With her mom in a safe place, Emily had more time and energy for her job. She started taking night classes to learn more about business. One day after class, she ran into Mr. Davis. They both felt awkward at first, but Emily decided to be kind. "Thank you for your congratulations," she said to him. Mr. Davis looked different, more tired than before. He admitted he was taking classes to learn about business ethics because he realized he needed to change. Emily felt sorry for him and told him, "That's brave of you to start over." As they went their separate ways, Emily felt good. She had let go of her anger. Her life had changed, and she had inspired others to change too. Emily continued to make friends at work, and they became like family. She worked hard to make Clucky a better company. Her friendship with Rachel grew, and they supported each other. Even Mr. Davis sometimes asked Emily for help with his homework, and she shared her ideas about being kind in leadership. Just when things were going well, a big challenge came. One day, Emily arrived at work and felt something was wrong. The usual noise and laughter were gone. Claire hurried to tell her, "We have a problem." When Emily walked into the meeting, she saw everyone looking worried. Mr. Hastings showed a news article that said Clucky was accused of using child labor in other countries. Emily couldn't believe it. "This can't be true," she said. But Mr. Hastings explained that they were shocked too. As they talked about what to do, Emily got a text from Mr. Davis. "Turn on Channel 7, it said. Emily stepped out to watch the news and saw Ethan outside a Clucky restaurant with other kids protesting. "The company that helped me is now hurting other kids," he said. Emily rushed back into the meeting and said, "We have to face this. I'll go out and talk to the kids outside. We need to show we care." Some people disagreed and said it was too risky, but Mr. Hastings supported her. "This is why we hired Emily," he said. With her heart pounding, Emily stepped out into the crowd. It was loud and chaotic, but when she saw Ethan, she felt brave. She raised her hands and said, "My name is Emily Carter. I'm here to listen to your concerns." The crowd became quiet as they looked at her. Emily continued, "If these claims about child labor are true, that's wrong. We at Clucky are shocked and sad, just like you. I'm not here to make excuses. I'm here to understand and help make it right." Her words were powerful, and everyone listened as she spoke from her heart. Emily stood before the crowd, her heart racing as she prepared to share something important. "Many of you may not know this," she began, "but my journey with Keys started when I was fired from one of our restaurants for buying a meal for a lost child." She gestured toward Ethan, the young boy standing nearby. "That act of kindness changed both our lives." Ethan's eyes widened in recognition. Emily could see a flicker of the little boy he had been. The values that led me to help Ethan that day are the same values that guide Keys today. We believe in doing the right thing, even when it's hard. And right now, we're facing one of our toughest challenges yet. Taking a deep breath, Emily announced, "As of this moment, we are suspending all operations with the supplier in question and launching a full investigation into these allegations. We will be transparent with our findings and take whatever steps necessary to ensure this never happens again." A ripple of surprise went through the crowd. This was not the typical corporate response they had expected. "But we're not stopping there," she continued. "I'm forming a new ethics oversight committee that will include members of the public and representatives from labor rights organizations. This committee will have full access to our supply chain and the power to make binding recommendations." Emily's gaze swept across the crowd. "We're also establishing a fund to support education and welfare programs for children in the communities where our suppliers operate. We'll work with local organizations to ensure these programs truly meet the needs of those communities." As she spoke, she noticed the mood of the crowd shifting. The angry shouts had faded, replaced by attentive listening and thoughtful nods. "I know that words and promises aren't enough," Emily acknowledged. "You need to see action. That's why I'm inviting Ethan and a delegation of your choosing to join me in visiting our overseas operations. You'll have unrestricted access to see exactly how we're implementing these changes." Ethan stepped forward, a mix of surprise and cautious hope on his face. "You'd really let us see everything?" he asked skeptically. Emily nodded firmly. "Everything, Ethan. No closed doors, no hidden corners. We have nothing to hide, and where we find problems, we'll fix them together." As her words sank in, the atmosphere began to change. Anger and hostility were replaced by a tentative sense of collaboration. Reporters pressed forward, eager to ask questions about this unconventional approach. For the next hour, Emily stood her ground, answering questions honestly and admitting when she didn't have all the answers but committing to finding them. She brought out other executives to address specific concerns, showing that this wasn't just her initiative, but a company-wide commitment. When the impromptu press conference wound down, Emily found herself face-to-face with Ethan again. He looked at her with respect and confusion. "Why did you do this?" he asked quietly. "You could have just issued a statement and done damage control like other companies." Emily smiled softly. "Because that's not who we are, Ethan. It's not who I am. You taught me that. When I helped you that day, I learned that doing the right thing, even when it's hard, is always worth it." Ethan nodded slowly, a small smile forming. "I'll hold you to your promises, you know." "I wouldn't have it any other way," Emily replied, extending her hand. After a moment's hesitation, Ethan shook it, sealing a new chapter in their shared story. As the crowd dispersed, Emily was met by Mr. Thorin, who looked both proud and concerned. "That was quite a risk you took out there, Emily," he said. "But I think it was the right call. We have a long road ahead of us, though." Emily nodded, feeling the weight of the challenge ahead, but also a sense of purpose. "We do, but we'll face it together with honesty and integrity. It's the only way forward." As they walked back to the conference room, Emily realized that this crisis, as difficult as it was also an opportunity, a chance to truly live up to the values she had always believed in, and to show the world that compassion and corporate responsibility could go hand in hand. In the weeks that followed, Keys found itself at a crossroads. The initial media frenzy had died down, replaced by watchful anticipation as the public waited to see if the company would follow through on its promises. For Emily, this period marked a shift in her role and her vision for the company. No longer was she simply an executive overseeing community outreach. She had become the face of Keys's commitment to ethical business practices. One morning, as she prepared for a crucial board meeting, Emily received an unexpected visitor, Mr. Davis, who looked nervous but determined. "Miss Johnson," he began, "I've been following everything that's happened. I want to help." Intrigued, Emily asked, What do you have in mind? Mr. Davis took a deep breath. I've spent the last few months thinking about what went wrong in my management style. I realize that my old numbers-only approach is part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution. As Emily listened to Mr. Davis outline his ideas for a comprehensive ethics training program for all Keys managers, she felt a surge of optimism. This was the turning point she had been hoping for. A shift not just in policies but in culture. During the board meeting that followed, Emily presented a bold new direction for Keys. We have an opportunity, she told the assembled executives, to become more than just another fast food chain. We can be leaders in ethical business practices, showing the world that profitability and social responsibility can go hand in hand. Her proposal was comprehensive, including transparent supply chain management, fair wage initiatives, environmental sustainability programs, and a commitment to community development in all areas where Keys operated. At the heart of it was a new company motto: integrity in every bite. As the board debated the proposal, Emily stood firm. She knew this new direction would be challenging and potentially costly in the short term, but it was the right thing to do. When the vote finally came, it was unanimous. Keys would embark on this new path with Emily at the helm of the initiative. Leaving the boardroom, Emily felt a profound sense of purpose. The journey that had begun with a simple act of kindness had led her here, to a position where she could affect real, meaningful change on a global scale. The road ahead would be difficult, but Emily was ready. As months passed and Keys's new initiatives began to take shape, Emily reflected on the incredible journey that had brought her to this point. She sat in her office late one evening, looking out over the city lights, marveling at how much had changed. The Emily of a year ago would hardly recognize her life now. Gone was the struggling fast food worker, replaced by a confident executive leading a Fortune 500 company toward a more ethical future. More than her circumstances, it was her inner growth that truly amazed her. She thought back to that rainy day when she had helped Ethan and how scared and alone she had felt after losing her job. Now, she understood that moment for what it truly was. Not an ending, but a beginning. 1 year after the child labor scandal broke, Emily stood on a stage at Keys's annual shareholder meeting. The room was packed not just with investors, but with community leaders, activists, and media from around the world. A year ago, we faced a crisis that forced us to look hard at who we were as a company and who we wanted to be, Emily began, her voice strong and clear. Today, I'm proud to say that Keys has not just weathered that storm, but has emerged stronger, more ethical, and more committed to making a positive impact on the world. She detailed the changes Keys had implemented, showing how ethical business could indeed be good business. As Emily concluded her speech, she saw Ethan in the audience, now an intern in Keys's corporate responsibility department. Their eyes met, and they shared a smile, both remembering the simple act of kindness that had set this all in motion. In the end, Emily said, the lesson we've learned is simple but profound. Kindness matters. Integrity matters. Every action, no matter how small, has the potential to create lasting change. If you enjoyed this story and would like to see more content like it, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. By subscribing, you'll stay updated on all our latest inspiring and heartwarming stories and have the opportunity to engage with our growing community. Additionally, I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback in the comments section below. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to sharing more captivating narratives with you.